In the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom our holy praises are forever due, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is his living and exalted Christ. I further bear witness that the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan is the Messiah. In their names I greet you, family. Assalamu alaikum. We are live on Instagram and Facebook. I haven't been live on either one in a long time, so I don't know what the new technological procedures are at this point. I don't know if Instagram will carry the duration of my remarks today, or it will cut off at a certain point as it used to. If so, you can migrate from Instagram to Facebook, but I do not intend to be very long today. I did want to share some thoughts regarding the press conference that we witnessed today. I am glad that I was able to witness it. The press conference that Attorney Ben Crump and Attorney Ray Hamlin held at the Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz Center in New York regarding new developments in the Malcolm X case, the case that the suit that the Shabazz family is filing against the U.S. government, alleging, rightly so, culpability on the part of the government in the assassination of Malcolm X. I watched that press conference closely, and I want to say to Attorney Crump and Attorney Hamlin that I commend you for your courageous move in bringing this suit against the U.S. government. The Shabazz family indeed deserves justice from this government for the role they played in instigating, orchestrating, and executing the plot to assassinate Malcolm X. So it was with great anticipation that I tuned in to the press conference. And I was not disappointed. To Brother Mustafa Hassan, I applaud you for coming forward and sharing your experience. I agree. The detail that you shared is very relevant, is very important. I hope to offer, I believe we can offer something regarding what you shared, some context regarding that explosive detail that you shared. Brother Attorney Ben Crump said that this is a 58-year puzzle. Well, I believe that we can assist in putting that puzzle together. I believe there are pieces that we can offer that can help put the puzzle of the murder of Malcolm X clearly together, illuminating those who are truly responsible for those tragic events at the Audubon Ballroom on February 21st, 1965. I said I do not intend to be long at all. There's 7 points, if you would indulge your brother. There's 7 specific points that I would like to touch on. As I listened twice, the reason I thought I could jump on and offer my comments at around 2 o'clock Central Time. I'm running late because I rewatched the press conference. I watched the entire press conference for a second time to make sure that I heard correctly, to make sure I understood what it is that I heard, and I knew what I wanted to share in response to what I heard. There's 7 points that I would like to make regarding what I heard at this press conference today. First, our dear brother attorney Ben Crump mentioned or stated, or let me be accurate, implied that one of the reasons he and his co-counsel, Attorney Ray Hamlin, believe there is merit to this case to charge the U.S. government for culpability in the assassination of Malcolm X is because we know that there were FBI informants in the Audubon on that day. Attorney Ben Crump quotes, appropriately so, FBI agent Arthur Fulton, who we all witnessed on the Netflix docuseries Who Killed Malcolm X. We witnessed FBI agent Arthur Fulton acknowledge that he, Arthur Fulton, was part of the FBI command structure that was tasked with targeting Malcolm X. Arthur Fulton acknowledged, confirmed, having 9 informants at the Audubon Ballroom on that day. Our dear brother, Attorney Crump, said in the press conference, quote, they haven't revealed who those informants were to this day. That is true. This is one of the areas where I believe our particular meticulous investigation can help. Because while the FBI has not forthrightly identified all 9 FBI informants that were sent to the Audubon Ballroom on that day with various tasks, the FBI has not done that. However, we can identify by name at least 3 of those FBI informants that worked for Arthur Fulton. We have, in fact, you say, well, Brother Dr. Wesley, how is it if they have not identified their informants. How is it that you know 3 of their informants? Well, a meticulous examination of the FBI documents, thousands of which are available. A meticulous examination of those documents in conjunction with a meticulous investigation of the assistant district attorney files, which are today housed in the New York City Municipal Archive, Malcolm X assassination case file. A meticulous examination of those 2 bodies of documents helps us confirm the identity of at least 3 of those FBI informants on the scene that day. We have, for example, a February 24th, 1965 informant report of sorts. It is a debriefing by the FBI case officer of around 4 of the informants that were on scene on that day. They were debriefed by their case officer. They told their case officer what they saw, and this is a report of those FBI agents' account to the FBI informants' accounts to the FBI case officer. Now, it is the case that in this document, dated February 24th, 1965, excuse me, it is the case that in this informant report of sorts, the identities of the informants are redacted. However, when we collate this document with other documents from the FBI file, as well as the district attorney's investigation, when we collate the documents, in some documents, the witnesses given their account are identified by name. And so their specific account can be matched with the account given during the debriefing as described in this informant report. That helps us identify some of the informants that worked for Arthur Fulton on that day. Our dear brother, Attorney Crump, said, "We can't tell you verbatim what they did. In terms of these 3 FBI informants whom we can identify by name, we can identify what they did. And in fact, one of them played a critical role in the assassination itself. In fact, we have the smoking gun, the Rosetta Stone, by identifying one of these 9 informants. Of the 3, 2 played very important roles. I said 1 played critical. No, I take that back. 2 of the 3, at least, played very critical roles in the assassination itself. We can identify those individuals and the role that they have played. Brother Attorney Crump mentions as an FBI informant former Nation of Islam National Secretary John Ali. Attorney Crump is not wrong in lifting up John Ali's affiliation with the FBI. We have documented in detail, I believe irrefutably, John Ali's role or relationship, continued relationship with the FBI. I would offer to Brothers Council that while John Ali and his FBI affiliations are indeed important, so too are Reuben Francis. So too is the FBI affiliation of Reuben Francis, who was one of Malcolm's chief lieutenants. So when we talk about John Ali as an FBI asset on the side of the Nation of Islam, let us not leave out the FBI assets around Malcolm, several of which we have identified, one of which, Reuben Francis, is as important as John Ali, if not more. Second point. Attorney Crump, in addition to the 9 FBI informants that FBI agent Arthur Fulton confirmed having at the Audubon on that day, he mentioned bossy informants. The NYPD's Bureau of Special Services and Investigations, the intelligence unit of the NYPD, the miniature, the junior FBI is what they were called. Attorney Crump rightly mentions the now known the long known Eugene Roberts, and also the now known Ray Wood. Both of them were at the Audubon, sent to the Audubon on that day. But we know that there were 3 bossy undercover agents at the Audubon on that day. How do we know that? Well, in this Herald Tribune article of February 23rd, 1965, it headlines, "Members of City's Secret Police Unit saw Malcolm shot." And the article says several undercover plainclothes policemen identified from the bossy unit were in attendance on that day, according to a high police official. Well, they don't identify that police official or give us any specifics about the several undercover agents, bossy agents. Well, we know who that police official was because of documents that we found in or from the Assistant District Attorney's Office. We know that Assistant Chief Inspector Joseph Coyle of the NYPD informed on April 6, 1965, informed the Assistant District Attorney's Office that in fact Bossy had 3 undercover operatives inside the Audubon Ballroom. We know one was Eugene Roberts, 2 was Ray Wood, and 3 we now know was McKinley Welch. Now, over as Arthur Fulton, FBI agent Arthur Fulton, was in the command structure of the FBI operation that targeted Malcolm X, the commander, the Bossy commander, or the commander over the NYPD Bossy operation that targeted Malcolm X, was Lieutenant Bernard Mulligan. Lieutenant Bernard Mulligan was the Bossy supervisor over those 3 Bossy undercover officers who were on scene at the Audubon. Now, something very important. Malcolm X was shot at 3:04 p.m. 3:04 p.m. is when the shotgun blasted and took Malcolm down at 3:04. We learned from internal documents that at 3:05, 60 seconds later, Lieutenant Bernard Mulligan was informed that Malcolm X had been shot. 60 seconds after the shotgun blast, one of those 3 Bossy operatives was able to notify the commander, Lieutenant Bernard Mulligan, that Malcolm had been shot, that the target had been hit. We do not know which of the 3 Bossy undercover officers notified in 60 seconds their commander that the hit was made. Now, I want to share something in terms of the relationship between the NYPD and the assassins of Malcolm X. Our brother Mustafa Hassan mentioned that he knew that there were prior attempts on Malcolm's life. I want to share one prior attempt that shines light on the relationship between assassins and the NYPD. This account was offered by Lawrence and Richard Henry in the March-April 1966 edition of Now magazine. Their investigation of the assassination of Malcolm X. They followed the trial, and their article is entitled Malcolm X Behind the Murder Trial. And in this important 1966 article, This is one of the jewels that they offer. Quote, an account of one previous assassination attempt on Malcolm X. Quote, 2 black Muslims given guns and ordered to kill Malcolm decided they could not do it. Calling their contract man, they told him, the man who offered these black Muslims, they're unidentified in this writing, but whoever these black Muslims were, somebody contracted them, gave them a contract to murder Malcolm X. Who gave them the contract? Well, we don't know, but let's continue reading. 2 black Muslims given guns and ordered to kill Malcolm decided they could not do it. Calling their contract man, they told him of their decision. Listen to this. The contract man expressed understanding and told the 2 to return to their homes and await further instructions. One of these 2 black Muslims who were contracted to kill Malcolm but got cold feet, couldn't go through with it, they're instructed, go home and wait. One of them decided to call home first before returning home as instructed by the contract man. They decided to call home first. And when they called home, this one, from the tone of his wife's voice, he knew he was not to return that evening. The tone of his wife's voice let him know, no, don't come home right now. He got the message. He didn't go home that night. The other contracted assassin, however, or contracted would-be assassin, he did as he was ordered by the contract man. He went home as instructed. And when he went home, he found the police, the NYPD, waiting for him at home. He was arrested for violation of the Sullivan Act and sentenced to prison. He's still there in 1966. So understand what happened. 2 black Muslims were given a contract to kill Malcolm X sometime before February 21st, 1965. 2 black Muslims were given a contract by somebody to kill Malcolm X. But at the time they were supposed to carry it out, they got cold feet. They couldn't go through with it. They called their contract man, the man who gave them the contract, and told them they can't do it. Their contract man said, okay, I understand. Just go home right now. Don't do anything. Go home right now and await further instructions. Of the 2 contracted would-be assassins of Malcolm X, one of them decided wisely before going home. He was smart enough to know he had reason to be suspicious of the contract man. So he decided before carrying out the instruction and returning home, he called home. And his wife let him know, it is not good for you to come home right now. Something is afoot. The would-be contracted assassin got the hint and did not return home. The other would-be contracted assassin, he went straight home. And when he got there, waiting for him was NYPD officers. They arrested him for having a gun. That gun was the gun he was supposed to use to kill Malcolm X, according to the contract. They arrested him and put him in prison. They did not arrest him because he had a gun. They arrested him because he did not use that gun as he was contracted to do and kill Malcolm X. So this is one of the prior assassination attempts on Malcolm, and it clearly indicates who was over the execution of the assassination on the ground level. The NYPD were, through Bossy, were the handmaiden of the FBI and the CIA in the execution of the assassination. And whatever black Muslims were involved, black Muslims, they were contracted. Their involvement was contracted by the U.S. government, no doubt through the NYPD. So, as I close this point about Bossy, the Bossy agents that were at the Audubon on that day, as Attorney Crump mentions, the three Bossy agents we can identify by name that Assistant Chief Inspector Coyle said there were three Bossy agents at the Audubon. We've identified those three. FBI agent Arthur Fulton confirmed there were 9 FBI informants at the Audubon. We can identify at least 3 of those in the role they played in the assassination of Malcolm X. In addition to these, there were at least, Attorney Crump, at least 2 CIA assets that we can identify by name around Malcolm X on that day. In addition, we can identify 3 other likely FBI assets around Malcolm X on that day, and 2 other NYPD assets around Malcolm X on that day. Thus, this raises a question for me, dear brother Mustafa Hassan. Our brother shared with us today that he, on that day, was part of Malcolm X's security detail. He was assigned as an usher in one of the aisles. But before the assassination, he says that somebody higher up in the security chain of command instructed him to leave his post in the aisle and go to the back of the ballroom, where the entrance to the Audubon ballroom was. As we have identified, the stage area was the designated kill zone. The back of the ballroom was the designated safe zone. At the time Malcolm X was shot down for the first time in all of his events, he was alone on stage. The entirety of his security detail abandoned him. There was nobody on stage with Malcolm when he was shot down. The kill zone was totally cleared out before that first shot rang out at 3:04 p.m. Those persons who were normally around Malcolm doing security, they were sent out of the kill zone and into the safe zone in the back of the ballroom. As Mustafa Hassan says that he was sent from his post in the aisle to the safe zone in the back. I wonder, dear brother Mustafa Hassan, who gave you that instruction? Was it Abraham Taylor, who was the head of the ushers on that day? Did Abraham Taylor instruct you to leave your post and seek refuge in the safe zone in the back? Or was it Reuben Francis who gave you that instruction? Reuben Francis handed out the security details on that day. Was it he who instructed you to abandon your post in the aisle and post up in the safe zone? Or was it Earl Grant? Or was it James Shabazz or James 67X Warden? I would like to know who gave you the instruction to abandon your post and sent you to the safe zone. Point number 4. Attorney Ben Crump mentions Gene Roberts and the dry run that occurred the Monday prior to that Sunday. We have documented that the dry run that undercover officer Gene Roberts speaks of, that dry run, the dress rehearsal for the assassination, it did take place, and it proves, the dry run proves not the culpability of the Nation of Islam. The dry run, Attorney Crump, you should know, and your team should know, the dry run that you mentioned, as it played out, gives all the evidence that the assassination was an inside job. That those around Malcolm X, whom Malcolm X trusted, they were the ones who put on the dry run. And they are the they are the ones who executed the assassination that Sunday, according to how they practiced it that Monday. So the dry run is very important, and it leads us away from the Nation of Islam and leads us to the conclusion that Malcolm X's murder was an inside job. Now, the critical detail Let me back up. In we document what I just said regarding the dry run. We have documented that in our posting, which is on my website, Wesley Muhammad, www.wesleymuhammad.com. If you go to my website and you go to Malcolm X Project, you will have the reports that I have made available regarding our investigation into the Malcolm X assassination. One of those reports, entitled The Judas Factor, did James 67X murder Malcolm X? James 67X was Malcolm's chief lieutenant. His secretary is chief of staff of sorts. And in this document, we expose the real context and implications of the dry run, the dress rehearsal that occurred that Monday. And finally, Brother Mustafa Hassan reveals a very important detail. That as he and other followers of Malcolm were grabbing on, making a citizen's arrest of Talmadge Hare as he was fleeing the scene, as Mustafa Hassan and the other followers of Malcolm were trying to grab on to Talmadge Hare, beating Talmadge Hare. And then the police, NYPD police, came and rescued Talmadge Hare from the clutches of Mustafa Hassan and the others. Brother Mustafa says that he heard one of the two police officers say to the other as they approached Talmadge Hare to free him. Mustafa Hassan says he heard one of the officers say to the other, "Is he one of ours?" That is an explosive detail. Now I notice, Brother Mustafa and Brother Attorney Crump, during a press conference, the reporter wanted to get from Brother Mustafa what he thought the implications of that statement was. One police officer asking the other as they are freeing Talmadge Hare, "Is he one of ours?" I think I can help with understanding the implications of that comment. You see, as we have documented, Talmadge Hare was one of two assassins who were being manhandled on 164th Street. Or is 166th Street, right outside the Autobahn. Let me see. (166th Street), right outside the Autobahn entrance. There were two fleeing assassins that were being beat up by followers of Malcolm. Talmadge Hare was one of those two. We have documented extensively that both Talmadge Hayer and the other caught assassin were put in police cars, separate police cars, and taken away. The police officer who said, Brother Mustafa, is this one of ours? He knew that he was to receive, that police detail was to receive one of the assassins who would be running out, who was an NYPD asset. We have identified who that NYPD asset was. It wasn't Talmadge Hayer. Talmadge Hayer was the sacrificial patsy. He was supposed to get caught. That's why he was shot. The other fleeing assassin was shot too, but accidentally. He disappeared. The police rescued both of the two men, but Talmadge Hayer was charged with the crime. The other fleeing assassin disappeared. We have identified who that other fleeing assassin is. He was protected by the NYPD because he was an asset of the NYPD. So when that officer said, no, not William Bradley, though William Bradley was an asset of the NYPD, but he wasn't caught. He got away clean. And he likely got away from a different exit. But Talmadge Hayer and the second fleeing assassin went out the 166th Street exit. And both of them were caught by followers of Malcolm. Mustafa Hassan was part of the group that caught Talmadge Hayer, but there was another group that caught the other fleeing assassin. And the police officer who said, is this one of ours? They were looking for the other fleeing assassin. No, not Ray Woods either. He exited out of 165th Street exit. He was caught. He was a second suspect caught, but he's not the one that was caught alongside Talmadge Hayer outside the 166th Street exit. So, we have all of those names and identities and documents. There's a reason I'm not giving them here on this live, and the reasons will be clear in the next couple of days. So no, the assassin, fleeing assassin that was caught alongside Talmadge Hayer was not shotgun shooter William Bradley. He exited out of the side exit through the ladies' lavatory. Nor was this second fleeing assassin caught with Talmadge Hayer. Nor was he undercover. Ray Wood was caught at the scene of the crime, but he exited out of the 165th Street exit. That's where he was caught at. So this is a different fleeing assassin that was caught alongside Talmadge Hayer. We have identified who that is, this protected NYP asset. Now, and my final thoughts are this. And of course, we will chop this live up and clean it up and inshallah make it posted as a video that can be studied. The last point I want to make is regarding the attempted mischief making at the end of the press conference. Just like your last press conference, or just like the last press conference that Attorney Crump held, there was some mischief-making reporter who insisted on trying to bring up the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, and making the Honorable Minister Farrakhan complicit in the assassination of Malcolm X. He has no complicity in the assassination of Malcolm X, none whatsoever. That mischief-making reporter, I don't know if it was the same one who tried the same stuff last time, but I want to show my appreciation to Sister Ilyasa Shabazz for your handling of that mischief-making question. Dear sister, you handled it with integrity. You didn't fall for the bait. You didn't fall for the trick. Nor did you, dear brother Attorney Crump. So I want to show my appreciation for the two of you, for the dignity and integrity with which you handled that mischief that was attempted at the press conference. So, those are my thoughts, dear family. As I listened to this wonderful press conference, I am proud of Attorney Crump. I'm proud of Sister Ilyasa Shabazz and the whole Shabazz family for your courage, for seeking justice against the most powerful government on the planet, the most wicked government on the planet. You are to be commended for your courage in seeking justice from this government for their role in the assassination of your father, our brother. Okay. I hope that in my exposition I was clear and not confusing. Was Mustafa Hassan a new addition? I don't know what that means. Are the assassins still alive? Some are. There's the assassins, and then there are those who facilitated the assassins. And in both cases, some are still alive. Of course, Talmadge Hare is still alive, but he refused to cooperate with the Manhattan District Attorney Office, Osiris Vance, as he was reinvestigating the case, a reinvestigation that led to the exoneration of Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam. The district attorney's office approached Talmadge Hare but Talmadge Hare refused to cooperate in the reinvestigation. This is, I believe, because Talmadge Hare, who is alive, is sitting on information regarding the assassination that he never revealed in any of his affidavits, and that persons who were in the command structure of the assassination are still around, and he's fearful because he knows he did not reveal all of what he knows regarding the assassination of Malcolm X. Were the people that were around Malcolm's body on stage ever identified? Yes. And to that question, I want to say this. I want to offer. The question was, were the people that were around Malcolm's body on stage ever identified? Yes, they were. And I want to offer this to the investigators. During this press conference, Attorney Crump played a video, the stock footage that captured the scene right after the assassination and the scene outside the Audubon where Talmadge Hare was caught. When that stock footage was played on a big screen at this press conference, the opening scene from that footage is of Malcolm prone on stage and persons around him, but the first person you see when that footage begins is a man in a black coat hauntingly hovering over Malcolm X. Malcolm X's body. I am suggesting that that man, whom we know, is a very important piece to the puzzle of who killed Malcolm X. Can you make the press conference available if you make an edited video? Well, the press conference is available. It's on Attorney Crump's Instagram page, and it's also on YouTube. So the press conference that we witnessed today, it's available. So, family, thank you for indulging your brother for these few moments. I pray that I have not wasted your time. I pray that I have not been unclear in my exposition. I hope I have offered something to the conversation today. I anxiously await further developments from the Crump team and those who are assisting him in this mighty effort to bring or to hold the U.S. government accountable for their role in the assassination of Malcolm X. Assalamu alaikum, family. Thank you.